So money's tight. You want to sell insurance successfully, but you don't have all the money in the world to invest in leads, and you're wondering what steps can you take to sell insurance successfully on a tight budget. If this describes you, you found the right video, because what I'm going to describe here today is my exact system that I teach my agents about how to sell insurance successfully, even if you're on a tight budget. What I'm going to do today is give you several different strategies that I've personally used, that I've taught other agents to personally use to generate leads on the cheap, even free at times, to start the process of making sales, getting commissions, and then to ultimately go into the process of reinvesting that money into some kind of fresh lead campaign. But again, coming up with that money through sources of leads that don't cost an arm and a leg. And make sure you stick around to the very end, because I'm going to describe to you my absolute best free lead generation program that not only is virtually free, but brings in some of the best quality leads available to insurance agents. So stick around at the end and let's get started. Hey, Dave Duford at Duford Insurance Group, where I train and recruit agents nationally to sell final expense Medicare and annuities. Thanks so much as always for watching, man. I really appreciate you. And if you enjoy this kind of content, subscribe and like, and check out davidduford.com if you want to learn more about joining my agency. So let's talk about how to sell insurance successfully on a tight budget. And the first thing I want to talk about is selling insurance with aged leads. So aged leads essentially are leads that were sold or never were sold. Aged leads typically are months to years old that represent somebody who was at some point in the past interested in an insurance product, but has been many months or years since they've expressed that interest. The biggest advantage of aged leads is that they're very inexpensive relative to the fresh leads that you could be buying if you had the money. And many times aged leads, as I have discovered, certainly a lot of other agency owners have discovered as well, usually consist of leads that sometimes never were worked. A lot of people, believe it or not, buy leads and never actually work the damn things. They just sit there with the person sitting around waiting for somebody to sell them insurance, and the agent never shows up. So there's an opportunity in many of these aged leads to uncover sales where people just frankly never showed up and closed at an affordable rate on top of that. So it's a great way to get involved in the insurance business on a very tight budget, but still get in front of good clients. Now, truth be told, not everything's rainbow and sunshines, of course. And of course, with aged leads come with the time progression since they originally generated. So a lot of these aged leads are definitely would have already bought insurance. Maybe they're not interested anymore. Heck, some of them are dead and gone, or maybe circumstances have changed. So one of the things to expect getting aged leads is to expect to buy a lot more aged leads than you would of fresh leads, and have to work through a lot more of those aged leads to uncover the gold nuggets of opportunity. Again, some pro tips here when it comes to aged leads. My favorite type of aged lead is, first of all, an aged direct mail lead, preferably unworked. Sometimes people never buy the leads that was generated. If you can get those, like what we have at the Ford Insurance Group as an agent of mine, those are great leads if they're available. And I prefer to go door knock those leads than actually call them over the phone, because many times the numbers have canceled or they've changed. And it's better just to show up anyway, because if you make the phone call to set the appointment, they may not remember sending the card in and start to contest what they actually did. But if you show up in person, I like to show, again, the card they sent in, where they signed off on it, and it usually leads to a lot higher bookings. And then one last pro tip on this too, guys. Consider using a refresher letter. A refresher letter is when you send out a letter to all of the people who sent back these cards, reminding them that they did that and telling them that you plan on dropping in or calling them to give them the information they requested. That refreshes the lead, re-interests them in the process. And when you show up and talk to them, it's likely going to be easier to strike a conversation about the intention of the lead and hopefully get more appointments. And guys, if you're interested in a refresher letter to work aged leads, shoot me an email. It's at davidduford.com/contact. Just say, hey, Dave, can you send me that refresher letter you're talking about? I'll be happy to send you the template that we use in my agency. So the second thing you can do if you're on a tight budget is to simply ask your friends and family members to potentially consider buying life insurance or whatever insurance product from you. Now, before you go and like grab me by the lapels and throw me through the front door and never watch my content again, hear me out here, because I know a lot of you out there kind of just like guffaw at the idea of trying to sell somebody that you know. And if you've been around long enough listening to me, jabber on, you know that I've had some issues personally with selling friends and family as a primary strategy. But my mind has kind of changed on this, and I want to share with you kind of my disposition on why it's actually a great idea to sell friends and family as a new agent, and how to change your mindset about it, because that's the most important thing. So the reason I'm okay with working friends and family for insurance opportunities is because, first of all, people prefer to do business with family members. You see, sales is all about, at the end of the day, trust. You got to trust somebody with your buying decisions, and typically family that loves each other tends to trust each other on a closer level than some stranger they've never met before. So what does that mean? That means even if your knowledge of the product isn't great, you can lean heavily and leverage that familial trust and get sales where maybe that person would not have been in the market had it not been your interest in the insurance business in the first place. So don't, put the idea off of selling friends and family too soon. Now, I wouldn't go out there and bug them to death. I wouldn't blow their phones up with text messages or tell them to come to opportunity meetings so that you have no more friends and die alone. But what I am saying is to have the right mindset about it. One thing script-wise that I would do is when I talk to friends or family, I would say something like this. Hey, Rick, this is Dave. Just checking in with you. I'm calling because I just want to let you know, no big deal, that I've changed my job and I'm now selling life insurance. And I just wanted to let you know, I don't know what your situation is or even if you might be interested. I just wanted to let you know that I am now helping people in your age group with life insurance, and wondered if you could give me a 5 or 10 minute talk with you just to kind of explain how it works, and if at least let me practice my presentation and then show you kind of how our programs work. Can I come by at 2 o'clock or 10 tomorrow? So again, with this kind of script, it's really downplaying any obligation. It's really low key. I'm not pressuring my friend to do anything. I'm telling them it's no big deal. I'm really, really emphasizing that because you don't want to throw away friendships because of financial desires, in my opinion. But you don't want to pass up on friends or family that might really need this and would never have had the opportunity to buy if you didn't expose it to them. So this is my attempt to walk that fine line. And I think there's absolutely no problem in you doing that as a new agent, especially if you're on a tight budget, because you'll sell policies to people who definitely need it. And this is a great way to supercharge your bankroll so that you can step into fresh and exclusive, better quality, higher price leads, but self-finance that from internal sales from your sphere of influence. So now for my final, absolutely favorite way to generate leads if you're on a tight budget, and that is seminar marketing. So seminar marketing essentially is finding small group or group opportunities to present in front of a group of people and to talk about something related to the concerns around what your insurance product solves. For example, in the final expense arena, what I teach my agents to do if they're interested is to go into senior living facilities, independent facilities, and other types of facilities and do small group talks that last maybe 10, 15 minutes at the most about final expenses, how inflation has caused prices to go through the roof, and how they can solve these problems in different ways, like with savings that they have or by using an insurance product. What this does is pretty cool. It gives great education to the people who are in attendance. And typically in my groups that show up, you get 5, 10, 15 people. And there's usually a handful of people that are actually interested to sit down and talk to you, to review their existing policy, or to take out a policy. And the nice thing about seminar marketing, it immediately establishes you as the authority and expert. You don't have to do the whole song and dance with becoming their best friend, because you at the podium kind of scales that rapport and an authority building capability. So by the time you sit down with them, they already know who you are. They have a sense of liking you and trusting you, and you can get the business a lot faster and convert some pretty good quality leads, again, at very little to any cost whatsoever. Now, with the way I teach it, I teach agents to do a drawing for a gift card, to bring some donuts and drinks, just to encourage more people to attend. But all this stuff is optional. You don't have to do it. You could simply go into these places and just do talks and generate business immediately. And a nice thing with this kind of strategy is there's just not a lot of people doing it. So that means there's not as much competition. And if you can do a couple of these seminars or type of speaking engagements every week, you're probably going to see 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 sales, again, without any cost acquisition, which means that it's all profit to your insurance sales business. So as we round out this video training on selling insurance successfully on a very tight budget, the last thing I want to make sure that's imperative and is clear is that the intent of doing all of this, in my opinion, is to build a bankroll into buying some kind of fresh, some kind of exclusive lead. You will run out of friends and family. Maybe they just won't pick up the phone anymore. Maybe you just sell them all. You will run out of seminars to do in many cases. Sometimes you can keep that going indefinitely, but most people kind of stall out over a time, or they just can't do enough to keep up with it. And it does get tiresome to work age leads because it's kind of a grind. It's kind of a glorified cold call lead at some level, because you got to do a lot of calls to find the few leads. So it's ideal to scale up to a fresh and exclusive lead, and to use the proceeds from the sales that you make from one of these tight budget solutions to buy yourself into the better quality. That's where you ultimately want to be for long-term success, in my opinion, because the long term, you don't want to make this business a grind. And if working your network's a grind, if working age leads a grind, if doing seminar marketing is a grind, usually working paid leads is a different experience altogether, because these people have just expressed interest. They're willing to talk to you in person or over the phone. And the process of facilitating business typically is a lot more smooth and friendly than it is with a lot of the other methods. So let me know your thoughts on selling insurance successfully on a tight budget. Maybe you have done that and you'd like to share your story. Please use the comments below. Share your story with other agents who find themselves in this predicament. It might help a lot of people survive this business. And thank you guys so much, as always, for watching, man. I appreciate you so much for sticking with me through this whole video. And if I can be of any service to you, say so in the chat, let me know, or reach out to me at daviddufour.com/contact. And y'all take care. Have a great one.